Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about some of the firearms I've picked up that have been influenced by media that I would not have probably been interested in otherwise. And before you go ahead and skip over the video, if you're saying that media, video games, or anything like that has not influenced your collection or does not influence people's collection, I'm going to tell you you're wrong. And that's why you need to stand by and watch the video, because there are thousands of guns that are sold each year due to Black Hawk Down, the Gordy carbine, the 723s, the 727s, the M14s. Then we have Die Hard and the MP5s and the Berettas, and people sit out Twinkies and Marlboros for John McClane each year. We have Lethal Weapon, which popularized, really, in my opinion, the first scenes of the Beretta running like a badass. And then we have like 1,000, I can't think of all of them right now, but by Black Hawk Down and Blood Diamond alone, there are companies that are making their fortunes off selling carry handle style uppers. And I was buying these things because they were cheap back in the day, and I didn't like modern ARs. So stay tuned, bear with me, and I'm going to talk about some guns that were influenced by a video game, and that's probably the only reason I own them. And after years of therapy, I can admit that on the internet to you. And set myself open for a court of public opinion, which may not end well for me, but I'm going to go with it anyway. So first on the list, Black Ops 1, 2010, the Makarov. At the time, I had barely got into the Cold War era guns. I was just got a Curio and Relic license. And I had bought a Makarov a P64, chambered in 9x18 Makarov, and the gun kind of sucked, but was kind of awesome. It was really cool to pack around. It was a great concealed carry piece, but the trigger on it was atrocious. But the Makarov ammo was really cheap back then, and so was Tokarev ammo. And so my buddies and I would pick up P64s, Romanian Tokarevs and things, and go out to the range and just shoot the crap out of them. Black Ops dropped, and you got to use the Tokarev and the Makarov within the campaign and a multiplayer, and they were just awesome. But then I realized the Makarov that I owned didn't really look like the Makarov in the game, and did some research and realized that there was a legitimate Makarov PM that was actually a much better, I had a better reputation. The P64 was a great gun, but had a little bit longer grip, took the same round, and I was like, man, I kind of want one of those pretty bad. So I sold like a Tokarev and some ammo, because the Tok ammo back then, I regret not stockpiling it. But anyway, I sold a Tokarev with some ammo and bought a Bulgarian Makarov. And these things are so fun to collect because they have thousands of different variations, different countries, different slide patterns, different cuts for the rear sight. Once you start paying attention to the details, you can pick them apart. Different trigger guards, squared versus round, commercial versus military. And then again, you have Bakelite grips, different variations of the Bakelite grips that will tell you what year it was made. So there's all kinds of cool things that goes around with the Makarov. So yeah, I did get interested in it because of Black Ops, the first one. Black Ops 6 is out now, and we get to use the Makarov again, which is pretty cool. But I probably would not have bought an actual Makarov if I didn't get to use it in that game. Now, moving on to a gun I've covered and multiple times on Instagram, but I don't think I've talked about it too much on YouTube, is the Colt Commando. So this is an original 11.5-inch Colt upper. And when I unlocked this class on Black Ops, I really wasn't interested in A3 carry handle or A3 flat top style ARs at the time. And I'm still really not. But the Commando was just a really cool class to use in the game. And it wasn't period accurate, but it was just really cool the way the sling was wrapped around it. And it was a really awesome class to use in multiplayer. So this gun I would definitely not own if it wasn't for Black Ops. And it has become one of my favorite Colt variants that I own, next to my original 733 Colt. But this one's not SBR'd. It is on a bad attitude department Call of Duty receiver to kind of go with the theme here. And, I could do the whole wrapping of the sling thing, but it takes a minute, so I'm not going to. But again, wouldn't own it if it wasn't for the video game. And, again, after years of therapy, I can admit that now on camera, and I'm okay with it, kind of. I may cry, I don't know. But not the last one. Next to the last gun, the FNFAL. At the time when the game came out, I had been super busy. Undergrad, working full-time, went right into grad school, so I really had no free time. So when I played World at War, I think was the last Call of Duty I played. Modern Warfare didn't really interest me that much. So the FAL, we had the Century Arms L1A1s, or you had the R1A1, which was built on a Century Arms receiver, which was pretty crap. The L1A1s were built on inbuilt receivers. This was a rescue project that came into a local shop. It is an Enterprise Arms on an inbuilt receiver, but it was missing multiple components, and so I had to sink a total of $87 for a total running price of this entire firearm in 2024 of $587. And now it is a very accurate, very fun shooting FAL L1A1. But again, it did take a lot of work and a lot of tweaking to get it to run. But now, the number one gun that I would not have been interested in probably if it wasn't for Black Ops, and I'm very stoked to have this gun, is an actual Galil. And when I say that, I've owned different Galil variants. I've owned the Century Arms Golani. I've owned the ATI Galeo, which I'll get to that one in a minute because there's going to be questions. But this one is a custom built, and I don't have the permission to drop the name of the guy that built it for me, but it has the Israeli markings on it, and hopefully that focuses. Put the hand behind there. I think that's a trick you can do. It's got a surplus handguard that has been camoed, and I've got he included a South African mag, which makes it even cooler. And the guy that built this is a savant when it comes to the Galil. The dude just knows his stuff. And he's the one that, as the round count got higher and higher on my Galeo, I was like, hey man, the peening on this rail and some of the wear on the bolt carrier or on the bolt doesn't look right to me, and it's not stopping. I figured it would stop after about 1,000, 2,000 rounds, but we're hitting 5,000 rounds now, and the peening on the right-hand rail just got worse. And I started to notice that it was, even with the KNS piston, it was kicking harder. So I was losing headspace, by the way. And so I eventually got rid of the gun to a guy that wanted all the components. He didn't need a bolt. He needed the carrier, the barrel, basically every other component on it except for the receiver. So I traded it to him. He got what he wanted and rebuilt the gun on a Caspian, and that was about a year ago. And yesterday I went down to my local shop and got to pick up this beautiful girl. And during Black Ops 1, I didn't know much about the Galil at the time. I was into AKMs. I had my Mahdi, but I didn't know too much about the Galil, and so to me it was like a 5.56 AK. But I noticed that like the upward sweeping handle, the bipod, and did some research and started getting really interested in them and tried to find what the civilian version was. And the only one back then that was available on the market was the Golani, and I was stupid. I bought a GAL receiver. It had significant issues. I couldn't even zero it, and I didn't really own a Galil up until I got the Galeo, and then I picked up another Golani, and I don't honestly remember why I got rid of that Golani because there was nothing wrong with it. It was a great gun. I think I was just impulsive and traded it off, which looking back, like in this moment, was pretty stupid because it ran very well and it was head spaced, and it was cool. But now I have a custom built Galil, and I would not have been interested in if it wasn't for that game. So I have other guns laying here on the table that have been influenced by multiple other pieces of media or stories that were told to me, which stories are technically media. We don't really consider that. But the 1911, all the stories from the other people I was around and the older people I was around growing up talking about World War II and some of them that served in Vietnam, and the high power and the Colt 1911, and how you just wanted one, like especially if you weren't an officer, you really just wanted a sidearm. So this is a 1918 model of the U.S. Army Colt that I picked up a long time ago. And I mean, that was one of the guns when I was a kid. I was like, man, if I can get a 1911 and I can get a Luger, I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be done. And a Garand and an M1 carbine. And, you know, eventually throughout the years, I've got all those. But I kind of got over my World War II era. I still love the guns, especially the 1911, but I've kind of moved past it. Anyway, I've got an IMI Uzi on the table. I've got an MP5, but those weren't really inspired by Black Ops. Those were inspired by multiple other pieces of media throughout the years. You know, and then, you know, today we look at all the Gordy carbines that are sold, the 723s, the Blood Diamond uppers, and the Reddit pages that are dedicated to cloners. So media definitely does influence our gun collections. So let me know what piece of media, whether it was a story or a movie or a video game, that has inspired your collection, and drop it in the comment section. If you want to, like and subscribe. I don't really think me saying that's going to have much of a bearing whether you do or not, but I would appreciate it if you did. That way, you know, why not? But if you don't want to, pop over to Instagram, hit me up in the DM section, chat a little bit. I've made several really cool friends, and, you know, been talking about different builds and things that we like. And seriously, drop your favorite, you know, whatever piece of media inspired you the most to go after or collect a certain firearm. Let me know. Drop it in the comment section. And I hope you guys have a great week. We're finishing up the week right now. We're in Thursday. We're moving into Friday. Hopefully you guys are off this weekend and can go LARPing at the range and get out, enjoy your gear, and have some fun. We really got to work on these outros.